After the 2D games, it was only a matter of time until I reached the 3D era of Sonic. I promise you, formally, I will not do a rough transition joke about such an era. But yeah, this is pretty exciting to just check all of those games again, and we have to start, of course, with Sonic Adventure 1. The first fully 3D game, I would say. I know 3D Blast exists, but I'm doing these games in order of which I've played them, as a reminder, and also... you know how 3D Blast is like. Adventure 1 is also an interesting case, because when it comes to my personal experience. See, I've played a lot of certain 3D games, mainly Adventure 2, begrudgingly Heroes, a lot of Colors, a fair amount of Unleashed but on the Wii version. Unleashed on the 360 killed my Xbox, so I am incredibly hostile towards that game. But Adventure 1, I think I've replayed it like twice or thrice, or something like that. And before I played the game again for this review, I was wondering, why is that? Why is this the 3D game that I've replayed the least, again, amongst all of the 3D games that matter? I had like a vague memory of not liking these zones, and not like the levels in themselves, but more like the open-ended stages that you play in between the stages. But that was kind of the only insight I could remember. And now that I've replayed the game, boy, I remember! Because I was curious, I went to my most credible source to like kind of vibe check the Sonic community. I went on Tier Maker, looked at the tier list of all Sonic games, and looked at the average rankings. Apparently, people love Adventure 1 better than Adventure 2 or Colors. So I'm kind of cooked. But I'll give you my fair and biased point of view. Yes, I know what I said. For people who might join us without knowing too much about Sonic Adventure 1, this game introduces a lot of things that will carry on into the series like for a long time. First off, the story is split between different sides, and in this specific case, different characters, with each character having their own specific gameplay. So, Sonic plays a high-speed platformer, so basically exactly what you would expect from him. And he has also the unique property amongst all of these characters to play all of the stages, and to play all of the content in those stages. The stages are like cut in like 3 parts for some, or 2 parts, or 4, basically little sections. And some characters only visit some sections of them, but Sonic does everything. When you start the game, you only have Sonic unlocked, and each time Sonic meets another character, you unlock one of them. And you can then either switch to that character or continue as Sonic. And usually what I do is I do a full playthrough of Sonic, and then I pick like which character I want to do next. Then we have Tails. Tails has the second longest story mode, in which you race Sonic on action stages, where instead of using your speed, you have to rely on his ability to fly and use shortcut. Which honestly, I really like that concept. I think it's really cool to have you like play through the stages fair play, quote unquote, and then try and find how to break them. I really like that. Then you have Knuckles. Knuckles and his iconic gameplay in Sonic Adventure of looking for shiny stuff. And honestly, I like his gameplay better here than in Adventure 2, and it mostly comes to one thing. See, in both adventure games you have a list of hints to the Chaos Emerald, and you have radar icons that tell you if you're hot or cold, basically. But in Adventure 1, you have all 3 active at the same time, so you can detect all of them when you're moving around the stage. Meanwhile, in Adventure 2, you can only detect 1 at a time, and I think that's kind of wacky. Now that I've tasted the Adventure 1 method again, I do prefer that implementation. Knuckles can also glide and climb on walls, as is tradition since Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. And then we have the newcomers, the new playable characters that Sonic Adventure 1 bring. First off is a new playable character, but not a new character, which is Amy Rose, which has a very short story mode. See, the idea is simple. Run. There's a stalker robot chasing after you, and you have to fucking get away. You can't defeat it, you can only stun it, and if you do it too much, you will get angry and get invincible. So you just have to bide your time. Amy is kind of slow, but she has a hammer to attack stuff, which has a pretty good hitbox. And she can also do this little hammer jump that I think is very fun and very nice to do. Even if it can feel a bit wonky sometimes. Although in general, feels a bit wonky is kind of the reoccurring thing with Adventure 1, and we're gonna talk about it later. Then we have Gamma. In a very interesting twist, Gamma is one of Eggman's robots, so you get to actually see how Eggman treats his robots, how Eggman operates things. It's a very interesting point of view, honestly. Gamma kind of plays like the mechs in Adventure 2, if that tells you anything, which is basically a run and gun section. You have a timer counting down instead of counting up like for other characters, and killing many enemies in a row gets that timer up by a few seconds. The more you kill them in a row, the more you get time back. I like it, honestly. His stages feels a little short, maybe too short to actually appreciate his gameplay. I had fun, that's what matters. Then you have Big the fucking Cat. So, his legend might have reached your ears. Big the Cat is kind of infamous for his gameplay. You are no longer playing Sonic the Hedgehog, you are playing a fishing minigame. A bad fishing minigame. This is the only character for which straight up, if you don't read the instructions on the character select screen, you are fucked. You are simply fucked. And even then, when reading them, I took like basically 30 minutes on the first stage to try and understand how I could actually catch the fucking frog you're supposed to get. Cause see,
Big the Cat has his friend named Froggy. He loves Froggy. Froggy really hates him. He keeps running away.
And so you have to... I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. And so you have to actually catch the damn frog in pools of water, and there's also some fishes. The fishes, friendly, lovely, they will always try to come and get your bait. The frog doesn't fucking care. And the best way I found to get that frog to actually care more or less flawlessly is 1. Jump in the water. 2nd, cast near the fucking frog, and when the frog has its eyes more or less looking towards you, you reel in back your bait just a little bit. And if the frog tilts its head, then you stop reeling and you wait until they move towards your bait, and then you press left or right. That doesn't sound hard, I know, but most of the times you just cast your net and the frog looks at you like, yep, I don't really care about this, not gonna lie. And that drove me insane. You can probably hear it. This is the most emotional admin on this channel. The most emotionally unstable, at least. At any rate, once you've finished all of these story paths, you also get treated to something that was a recurring mechanic in the Sonic series, which is the last path of the last story or whatever. Basically the true ending thing. In this game, you play as a question mark. I mean, I think the way they went like, oh, question mark, bitch, you want Super Sonic. I guess it was like to keep the reveal the 3D model, but I think it would have been cooler if they didn't even say it was Super Sonic, it was just question mark, question mark. At any rate, this is very cool, but we'll talk about it later, because I need to explain why it's very cool first. The second thing that I think is very interesting to analyze with this game is the narrative focus. This is, once again, something that will stay relevant, well, basically forever. Of course, some people would say that when you pump out games like Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations or Sonic Lost World, even though they have, quote-unquote, a narrative focus, they don't care enough about the story, it's just like narratively driven, if you know what I mean. There's an actual story driving the event, and not just a vague goal, even when the stories suck ass. And for this game, I would say it's alright. It's pretty fine. I like it. My main problem isn't with the story. My main problem is with the depiction of that story. And now I have to come clean. There is charm in all their games. We love retro gaming on this channel. Sometimes Adventure 1 is kind of painful to look at and most importantly to listen to. The deliveries miss a lot of the times, the voice direction is a bit awful, and I think the thing that drove me especially insane is that there's the awkward silences and pauses in the cutscene all of the damn time.
Did you see that?
Darn! Blues Cruise, I guess.
Good thing you're okay. You just sort of conked out there. Knuckles left already. Come!
And I find that very hard to handle. It really adds up. Particularly once you're done with Sonic is the breaking point, I think, of the game. If you didn't like what you've seen so far once you've played through Sonic's route, this is your chance to run away. Playing more of the game would not go well. Interestingly, there's also a part of the story that I really like, and it's that all of the story is kind of seen through the POV of the character you're actually playing as. So they're a bit of unreliable narrators. So for example, Eggman is perceived as more scary by Tails, so his dialogue changes a little bit to actually be more scary, to have more scary deliveries and have more scary lines. And I don't know, I really like that. Even if as a kid I was like mad confused, I was like, why is that different? I just saw that, why is that different? As an adult, I can kind of appreciate that a little more. I think it could have been executed better. But then again, so could this entire game. I think that's fair to say that it was their first big attempt on story and you can obviously fuck up. It's fine. So here's basically the quick rundown. Eggman has found casually the god of destruction, Chaos, and revived it from a long slumber inside of a big green rock, a certain big green rock you might know, called the Master Emerald. This game revolves a lot around the Sonic 3 lore, or at least Sonic 3 inspired or introduced things. And throughout the entire game, you have this little spirit with you, known as the Call, which shows you part of how Chaos came to be. See, you have the baby, known as the Chow, which seem to have a connection with the Emerald. And Knuckles' clan, or at least the Echidnas, really want that emerald. They really want that power. Tikal, being the daughter of the, I don't know if he's like a war chief or just a leader of some sort, or a tribe leader. Tikal, being the daughter of that guy, opposes the notion of attacking them because she has befriended the Chow she thinks are peaceful. They deserve to not be invaded. Reminder that according to Woke Detector, this game is subtly anti-colonialism. Subtly. Yeah. And eventually, they do it, and Chaos does not take that well, no. As a last-ditch effort, Tikal seals herself and Chaos inside the Master Emerald, until Eggman comes fuck everything up. Eggman tries to feed the Chaos Emerald to Chaos to power it up, and you actually face him multiple times as different forms as he gains more emeralds, and that was pretty cool. And your first interaction with him is a bit pitiful. And honestly, most of the bosses in this game kind of are. The most you'll get is spin around the boss while you wait for an opening. The boss attacks you. You have dodged every one of the boss's attacks. Kill them. But honestly, the only boss that is like a known dickhead is the Egg Viper, and I kind of respect him for that. On the second half of his health bar, he'll start destroying the platforms. So if you take too much time, you're fucked and you fall to your death. But here's the thing, once you kill him, he does a last-ditch attack that also destroys one of the platforms. So if you took too much time, you're not even out of the woods and he'd make you plummet to death with him. And of course, I was gotten by that as a kid and I thought that was nice. What isn't nice is the hitbox problems, but a lot of these games' problems, I'm not even sure if they come off the board or if the original Dreamcast version was like this. It's been way too long for me to remember. At any rate, I want to talk a little more about what I'd call the game cycle. So you will do a few things. Watch cutscenes, fuck around in open zones, or play a stage. And the cutscenes, as I've said, they're massively awkward by today's standards, at least by today me standards. And the open zones, and here's the thing. When I was a kid, I was like, okay, I've played through this entire game as Sonic, I've seen those zones 1,000 times already. I've been through Station Square enough as is, I've been through the Mystic Ruins enough as is. I don't need to see them. I don't need to see more of them, especially because there's not more of them, it's only more of them, if you know what I mean. It's like, oh, bring a key there, oh, this item has dropped, bring it there, oh, fucking find out what you have to do next, good luck. I don't know if I'm just stupid, stupider than I was as a kid, but a lot of times I just had to go back and see Tikal because I had no fucking idea where I was supposed to go next. Sometimes there's a cutscene to show you at least where an item has appeared, and it's not clear where you have to use it. And sometimes you just get nothing at all. It's very strange. And it's doubly strange because there's specifically all characters that reach the egg carrier and have to go through Skydeck, a particular level on the egg carrier, will all have a cutscene designated to tell you, oh, this is the entrance to the Skydeck, even though you spawn right in front of the Skydeck before Eggman says, oh, get to the Skydeck, Sonic. And I don't get why this is the one instance where you're railroaded into something that's super obvious and impossible to miss. And meanwhile, you have some cases where you just like finish a level and nothing happens, and you just don't know where to go next. And Tikal is just like, have you tried going for the entire city? Oh, thanks, Tikal. Anyway, I'm super calm. So yeah, the open zones in this game I find are awful, honestly. I could do without them, and actually that's a massive part of why I like Adventure 2 better. I definitely could do And then, we have another problem. Yes, I can still find more to complain about. The stages in themselves. With all the characters playable in this game, half of them don't control nicely. I think the ones that do control nicely are Tails, Knuckles, and Gamma. And the ones that don't control nicely are Big, whose controls are impossible to fucking figure out. Not his controls, not his movement, but like his fishing thing. Amy feels awkward because she's way too slow, and her ammo jumps you can only like do when you run, even though you want to use it all the time. So a lot of time you think like, oh, I waited enough time, she's gonna start running, I can do the hammer flip. No, you're just gonna stop dead in your tracks and do her hammer attack, which is not nice. And she takes way too much time to go from walking to running, in my opinion, which is definitely more of a problem than her running speed now that I think about it. And then you have Sonic. It's hard for me to tell what's wrong with Sonic. His spin dash feels very good. Obviously, that's something that I've heard a lot about Adventure 1, and yeah, I can confirm, Adventure 1 spin dash is built different, I really like it. It charges up fast, you can kind of do it whenever, it feels very good to use. When you roll down slopes with it, it feels really nice. Everything else, turning feels awkward. The homing attack, I hate the Adventure game's homing attack, I'm sorry. But this one feels at least even worse than Adventure 2. His speed feels nice enough, but I don't necessarily hate controlling him, but it feels awkward, basically. I really hope that my video isn't old game bad, first 3D game bad, rough transition. But, on the other hand, I hope you can see where I'm coming from. And that's from someone who has played a ton of Sonic games, and maybe that actually plays into it. I know that I'm very frontiers/generations build at this point in my life, also. As in that I've replayed those games a lot in my recent years. Because I've replayed Adventure 2 enough as a kid, I can pick up Adventure 2 and readapt to stuff. It takes me a little time, but it's okay. Adventure 1 is really rough when you don't have a lot of experience before, at least in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much what your adventure is like. Here's the part I really like. So, I told you before, you spend a lot of time in Station Square, Mystic Ruins, all of these open zones. And in the last story, something happens to the city, you can say. Because exits her little ball form and actually like has her body back for a second, she pleads with Sonic to seal Chaos into the Master Emerald again before he basically fucks up the entire world. And Sonic just straight up refuses. He's like, no, fuck no. That won't fix anything, he's just gonna be angry and imprisoned again. And so he decides to take the nobler path of turning Super Saiyan and beating the shit out of him until he's not angry anymore. And I dig that. And you know what I dig even more? This. All golden and powerful, you rush through the ruins of Station Square, the hub you spent so much game time in, as you reach towards Chaos and try to defeat him. And oh my god, see, this is what I want. I want a climatic end to my video games. I could take a hard boss, I mean, Egg Viper isn't hard, but it's definitely more challenging than basically everything else. But having both a hard boss and a climatic boss feels really nice. And who can forget about the good old song playing in the background? Open Your Heart basically will define the musical identity of Sonic forever, pretty much forever. Good old You Can Do Anything rock, I love it. And again, it just feels so nice with Sonic. The city being destroyed, the heavy rain, the setting is just super perfect. I love this final boss, what can I say? It does play heavily into my opinion of this game. And in general, what is my opinion of this game, you might wonder? I respect it. That starts well, doesn't it? I respect the game for what it did for the Sonic franchise. I think it brought a lot of tropes, a lot of codes, a lot of rules in the Sonic franchise that we still have today, like the multiple characters, live gameplay thing. A lot of them were implemented for a long while. That's because that shit is good. That's because we loved that shit. We eat it up. And this game pretty much codified the entire 3D Sonic lineage is proof of its good ideas. I'm not sure I see the execution, I'm not sure I agree with a lot of how these ideas are actually implemented. Again, I can't stress out enough. Age, first 3D game, blah blah blah. But some Sonic games even that have more or less the same age were better, and I can't just give it a pass. Like, there's not a point bonus for being old. That doesn't work. Should you play this game? I would say yes, if you're curious in the Sonic history. Otherwise, it's pretty interesting. You can use it as a little game study, or you can like play bits of it for fun. What I would say is don't do it like a maniac. Don't play all of it at once, you're gonna get burnt out. Or at least like keep Big and Amy and Gamma for like a session of their own. You can do probably Sonic in one session, or Sonic Tails and Knuckles if you're insane. And 2 other short stories. I don't know. But there's a lot of the game and there's a lot of tiny frustrations here and there. So I would not recommend playing off the game in one go. But you can definitely try it out if you're curious. It's not a quote-unquote bad enough game that I recommend like not playing it and only watching someone do it. It's also a game that has general story aspects that I really like, and that are kind of relevant to more recent titles. By more recent titles, of course, I mean Sonic Frontiers, most importantly. And honestly, replaying this game made me appreciate the lore additions that Frontiers brought, in a sense. Because I got to see where Mr. Flynn looked at this stuff and tried to connect it to Frontiers, and I think it's a pretty interesting exercise too. What's the best version of this game to play? That's a good fucking question. Everyone has an opinion on it, and that seems to at least collaborate with the port sucks. The GameCube port sucks. And the PC port of the GameCube port sucks even more. So technically people would tell you to play the Dreamcast version or to play the PC version with mods. And something that's actually pretty funny is that when you install the mod manager, they have a lot of bundled mods to restore the Dreamcast version. I don't know if it's that important for someone that would be playing the game for the first time, but I'm sure there's someone willing to correct me on this somewhere in the world. And finally, where would I rank this game relative to the other ones? Relative to the entire franchise on the kill list, going from S to E? I would say, oh god, I'm not gonna make friends. This is a solid B tier game, and I'm sorry, I can't bring it higher. I know this game means a lot to a big group of people known as Sonic fans. I just don't enjoy it that much. What do you want from me when I have to rank it like relative to other games? Not even like relative to the 2D games. Obviously Sonic 3 Knuckles and Sonic 2 are way more polished and way more enjoyable. Even like relative to other 3D games, Adventure Run is a rough deal. It is rough as fuck. And while I do like the game, I also find it too frustrating with my parts. There's no big frustration, but a lot of tiny ones here and there. And after a while, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm probably not picking up that game again. At least a year or 2 or 3. Meanwhile, I can just eat Colors up, eat Adventure 2 up. And that's kind of why it's in that spot. I hope you don't want me dead for it. And I'll see you next time when we review the sequel Adventure Run and talk about how it improved on a lot of things. And maybe how I did it. Could you imagine?